Hello, everyone. It's a delight to be here today with one of my favorite people in the world, Melanie Weller. My favorite Aries, as I often call you, Melanie. Melanie is a leading edge expert in neurosomatic intelligence, which is exactly what is up for all of us. Melanie, maybe we can start before we even get into why this is the perfect time to tune into neurosomatic intelligence. But why don't you tell us what that really is and why it really matters?
Well, everything we experience happens through our nervous systems. But sometimes when we don't feel safe, we sometimes get an output, or our body will try and protect us, and we get an output that is not desirable. We might get a migraine, we might get pain, we might get anxiety, we might procrastinate. And these are all things that happen through your nervous system and are expressions of not being safe in the moment or safe in a belief. And are beyond that, there's somatics and nervous system regulation is a big thing right now. And I've been working with the vagus nerve as a primary focus of my physical therapy practice for at least the last 20 years. But the research shows us that when solar and space weather disrupt the electromagnetic field of the earth, it's measurable in our vagus nerves. So our nervous systems are always regulating to the nervous system of the earth. And the nervous system of the earth is always regulating to the nervous system of the solar system, beyond that. And so, we literally have like the planets and their relationships to us inform our nervous system. And there are specific techniques depending on what's going on with you personally and within the collective astrology that you can use to really regulate your nervous system with the bigger picture. That sometimes regulating with yourself and in relationship to others in your community is not thinking big enough. And our bodies.
What about times when the bigger picture is full of potential for breakthrough, but clearly saying this is going to be a big leap? And I think that's what the astrology has been saying to us for the last several years.
Absolutely. And if you don't know this, you don't have choice in how you respond, I would say. And a great example of this is Will Smith smacking Chris Rock at the Oscars. Because if you look, I think that like Mars had just entered Aries that day. So there was impulsive behavior, the collective, we were all primed for impulsive behavior. And if you look at Will Smith's chart, his chart was being activated. He has quite a few planets in Aries, but he didn't know this was happening, presumably. And so he didn't have as much choice in how he could respond. And so he took what neurologically you would call the low road, the impulsive, fast automatic behavior, versus the high road to think about where's the opportunity and what can happen differently here.
Which is exactly what these astrological times really require for us to up-level and not stay in a triggered state.
Absolutely. And our bodies literally mimic the Zodiac from head to toe in the order of the Zodiac at the macro level and at the cellular level. Within the cell, there are structures that are the same shapes as the constellations and same archetypal functions. And so you really are an expression of the Zodiac, and the Zodiac is an expression of you. And that allows then for very prescriptive approaches to how you're going to do this. And so Mercury retrograde in Taurus is very much, to me, about the vagus nerve, because Taurus is associated with the throat. Your throat anatomy looks like the Taurus bull, and your vagus nerve that innervates your vocal cords comes out of the base of your skull, goes down to your heart, and loops back up to go to your vocal cords. So I like to talk about the vagus nerve as the nerve that allows us to speak our hearts. And that recurrent branch that goes to the vocal cords is a retrograde type of innervation.
So it's actually the perfect time when Mercury is retrograde to rewire, rewild, reconnect with the creative power of our voice.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and there are many ascent narratives across theology and different belief systems. And even in modern psychotherapy, the way to ascend or to get more aware and achieve more progress is to go within. You have to go within to get to be able to advance, to move forward. And that's really the incredible opportunity of Mercury retrograde. It's not there to trip us all up. It's there to get us to go within so that we can make leaps and go further.
Yes, totally. I've always felt that about these Mercury retrogrades. This one, I honestly believe, is one of the most important of our lives because it's the only Mercury retrograde in Taurus while Uranus is here. I feel like this Mercury retrograde is the key to the breakthroughs with abundance, with bliss, with creative sovereignty of our lives. And so I'm just so thrilled that we're going to be collaborating together. It's, to me, everything that you have been talking about since I met you. It's really all about empowering ourselves to be more co-creative in our lives.
Yes. And it is so juicy because Mercury rules the nerve structure, like the nerves themselves. And Uranus is the nerve signal that jumps down the nerve, the transmission. And so this is a very, very potent time to connect with your voice and to really, anytime we are triggered or have, have pain or anxiety, depression, anything like that, it's because the map in our brain about what's happening in our body gets fuzzy. And this is a Mercury retrograde with in Taurus with Uranus there too, is an incredible opportunity to really clarify the map in your brain. And, Mercury was messenger to the gods and escort to the underworld, and he rules the spaces above and below your diaphragm. And Mercury has got to be able to move up and down in those spaces. The message has to be able to get up to your head and down to your feet. And I've been seeing a lot of stuckness in this and this type of energy in my clients, and it's not difficult to resolve, but it's, it can definitely present being, it can be very tricky as Mercury is the trickster too.
And especially because we've had so many triggering experiences, unexpected change, drastic change over the last few years. This Mercury retrograde that began with Mercury and Uranus very tightly conjunct, Mercury's going back over every single degree that Uranus has moved through since January 2019. And so it seems like Mercury is inviting us to heal the trauma and the triggers that remain unresolved, so that next year, starting in June, actually, as Jupiter goes back through these degrees, we can experience new levels of bliss and wisdom and abundance and all the good things.
Absolutely. And even those things, bliss and abundance, can be threatening to our nervous systems.
Oh, that's such a good point. Yeah.
And if you won't achieve your goals, or you can't get there if it doesn't feel safe, you will constantly create a situation where that creates an obstacle. And at the end of the day, our nervous systems, all they really want is contrast. Our nervous systems are all about contrast. And so really learning to enjoy the contrast, or to observe the contrast and and to satisfy your nervous system in contrast in ways other than what we're seeing out in the collective, like school shootings and workplace shootings. And, we're getting lots of contrast these days. And, and I think that we can really enjoy contrast at a different level to start to bring down the collective threat level, and absolutely your individual threat level,
which is connected to the collective threat level. We're actually when we're radiating out empowered energy, that doesn't affect just us, right?
Absolutely. Well, and then you become the thermostat instead of the thermometer. And so you can really set the tone and the temperature rather than constantly having to react to what's happening to everything around you. And that's a real place of power to create your own reality.
I am beyond excited that we are going to be doing this through the most important part of the retrograde, starting on April 25th, and even going beyond the retrograde, 9 days beyond, that you are going to be helping us learn how to integrate what we're realizing, to integrate that into our nervous systems so we can really learn to be those thermostats. It's just so like a dream come true almost.
Well, I'm so excited to collaborate with you because you've been so important in my life and helping me put my own pieces together and to integrate. And that integration piece is really important for your nervous system because things are connected in ways you might not realize. Like we take in visual information more accurately when our hearts are filling with blood, and we take in touch information more clearly on an inhale than we do on an exhale. And those are not systems that have historically really been connected with each other. The science has usually divided them into separate categories and not understood how they relate to each other. But you have to have like your visual system and your vestibular system and your sensory system and your interoceptive system. Like they all work together, and that integration is really important. When we treat ourselves in pieces, it's really sometimes it's necessary in the short term, but in the if that's your long-term strategy, it really is a disservice and keeps you limited.
Really epitomize the whole body, whole brain, whole systems approach. And everything that you teach is so simple and yet high impact, and so easy to learn that you remember it forever. I'll wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and think, I'm going to try that thing Melanie showed me. And always it will work. So thank you so much for
thank you.
making this possible. It's really a rare opportunity, and I'm thrilled. I can't wait to get started next week.
It's going to be so good. I'm super excited, Marcia, to bring this forward. This is me fully expressed. And so this is a great opportunity for me too.
It's going to be fun. See you next week. Oh.